This is KRQE News 13 with Dick Niffing and Erica Ruiz.
Disgraceful, shameful, horrifying.
Strong words about what has been going on at a New Mexico nursing home described as one of America's worst. But powerful as those words are, they still fall short. What News 13 investigative reporter Larry Barker has uncovered is worse than disgraceful, shameful, and horrifying.
It was a nightmare to walk into. I would see people that were crying out for help, people in wheelchairs who were saying, "Help me."
Tanya Flores is talking about the place where her father died, Fort Bayard Medical Center, a nursing home near Silver City. 71-year-old Manuel Flores suffered from diabetes. We met his daughters in Phoenix, where they told us they never thought Dad's death would come so soon.
I don't believe he thought he would be dying. I think he thought he had some more years left in him, and we did too.
But it was only after they buried their father that the details surrounding his final days emerged. In fact, Manuel's untimely death was blamed not on his diabetes, but rather on the neglect of the nursing home staff.
These records document major failures in Manuel's care. Danger signals were ignored, his diabetes went uncontrolled, he was repeatedly mistreated and neglected. His death was called preventable. Investigators noted the staff did not seem to have any insight into their, quote, incompetent behavior.
It just breaks my heart. I wish I could have done something at that time to just take him out of there and bring him, and it's heartbreaking to know that my dad could still be here today.
And Joe Kroom remembers his mom, Gladys.
She was a good mom, active, always took care of her family. Early pioneer, ranching family, unanimous.
Gladys Kroom was admitted to Fort Bayard for rehab after hip surgery. 3 months later, the 91-year-old patient was dead.
Gladys Kroom's final weeks were unbearable. Oftentimes, she would scream out in pain, and her cries would be ignored. Investigators called Fort Bayard's neglect outrageous and said it contributed to Mrs. Kroom's death.
It's hard to see your mom, slowly die.
Fort Bayard never told Joe Kroom about how his mother suffered.
A complete surprise to me. I had no idea. I thought she was receiving adequate care. I don't know what to say, to be honest with you. It's kind of difficult and kind of a shock to you.
Gladys Kroom and Manuel Flores are not isolated cases.
It's all documented right here in this federal civil rights investigation obtained by News 13. According to the Justice Department, the Fort Bayard Medical Center has contributed to the needless suffering and untimely deaths of many of its residents. Investigators found patients spending their last days in miserable pain. Many died from the, quote, reckless and almost willful disregard for health and safety.
Words used to describe the care here: shocking, outrageous, unconscionable. Fort Bayard may be one of the worst nursing homes in America, but the Silver City facility is not a fly-by-night operation. So who owns this place? The state of New Mexico.
We should take responsibility, and we're absolutely sorry. That's just outrageous. I don't care who does it. It's outrageous.
Michelle Lujan Grisham is New Mexico's health secretary.
I mean, what you can do is say, oh, the Department of Justice was wrong. They were not wrong. They were absolutely not wrong. No one should be subjected to this kind of poor treatment or care.
Justice Department consultants found Fort Bayard failed to prevent injuries, illnesses, and deaths. Investigators said the staff seemed unaware they were destroying the very quality of life for residents. The only relief for some was death.
Among the findings, Fort Bayard's misuse of mind-altering drugs to control patient behavior. Patients were often given drugs without justification or diagnosis. As a result, residents suffered and died prematurely. Federal investigators also found evidence that some staff members were actually stealing drugs from residents. It's believed those staff members may very well have allowed residents to suffer needless pain while they themselves stole their drugs.
The abuses were not limited to just lower-level staff. Nursing and physician care was found to be, quote, grossly deficient. In fact, 4 doctors, including the facility's former medical director, were accused of dangerous practices. Staff members who were specifically referenced in these reports today, are they working at Fort Bayard?
No, they are not. And in fact, if appropriate, they aren't working anywhere.
Even though the state health department knew that doctors at Fort Bayard had made life-threatening mistakes, we found they did not alert the state medical board of the abuses. And there's more. After the federal investigation was complete, 76-year-old Lujan Grisham died at Fort Bayard after being viciously attacked twice by another patient. Mary Ann Barca is her daughter.
Scared me. She had another black eye. Her face was completely scratched. She had chunks of meat missing from her arms. She had lacerations on her, scratch marks on her chest.
Fort Bayard is now being sued for not protecting Lujan Grisham from abuse. Today, the health department says the facility has been completely overhauled. Negligent staff have been fired, new managers are in place, and teams of professionals now scrutinize all aspects of the operation. This administration does accept responsibility for what's happened.
Absolutely.
Top to bottom?
Top to bottom. Today, things are so much different. And they should be.
But those words ring hollow to the families who lost loved ones at Fort Bayard.
There's no words to place how angry I feel that my dad could still be alive today, and that 2, the people that were taking care of him had the means to take care of him appropriately and didn't.
Well, I'd like to have my mother back. It wasn't her time.
Larry Barker, KRQE News 13.
Governor Bill Richardson announced today that Health Secretary Michelle Lujan Grisham is resigning to run for Congress. He praised her for, quote, overseeing a vast array of health programs.